I like high-fidelity graphics. They can deliver emotion and accurately inspire the exact feeling or thought that the creator wants. I'm not sure what they want me to feel here. However, they have fully, or at least more, realized ideas, and that comes with a stronger creator's voice.
Not samurai.
This is the exact facial expression they want to show. When there's a voice actor, you know exactly how a character is supposed to sound.
Funny, but unbecoming.
You know exactly the details the creators wanted, such as how big Isabella's boobs are supposed to be. The cup size is important to their vision. In terms of the conversation between player and creator, a discussion that I think is unique to gaming, they're saying a lot, which can make it easy to let them dominate the discussion, which is fine in many cases. However, when that vision of the game is so clear, it can be hard to read between the lines. It can be difficult to create your own interpretations, to think about what could be, instead of what has been presented as what is. But high-fidelity graphics and audio are not the only things out there. A lot of games run retro graphics and audio and lack of voice acting beyond vocal grunts. But that lack of fidelity is not a negative. It is in fact a signpost, a signal, that beyond those relatively low-fidelity visuals and sound is room for you and your imagination. It goes a little bit beyond that too, what with limited storytelling also giving you room to make up whatever you want. Let's talk about this vis-a-vis story, voice acting, and graphics in reverse order. Low-fidelity or retro-style graphics that are found in retro-style games are limited in detail. That is a repetitive sentence. They don't make an effort to recreate reality, at least not with exacting detail. You don't get every fiber of shirt or every strand of hair. It simply couldn't be done back in the day, and nowadays not always a practical option, or even a smart option, because there are plenty of occasions when that extra detail is actually lost unless you're in the business of taking screenshots. And as Ghost of Tsushima proved to me, I think I might be. But all aside for graphics, it's all about getting the most important information across in as few details as possible. What details the creators present must serve a purpose. It's not about realism necessarily, it's about how much they can give you that you can understand completely at a glance without requiring an art degree that guarantees your poverty. Let's take a look at some real old Warcraft sprites and their shoulder plates. Big shoulder plates, big warrior types. Notably, those are also where the colors go, so you can identify quickly which units are on your side and which ones are the bad guys. Knights, on the other hand, have a tiny horse compared to them. They are large, imposing, and have that little ponytail to indicate immediately what you are looking at. Mages, on the other hand, have a big honking stick that the others don't have, and are clearly dressed in robes and cloth. Now, this all seems simple and very obvious, but the design of it is fairly competent. Even as a tiny, stupid 10-year-old boy, I could understand what I was looking at immediately. I did not need further signals as to what these units could do. It was visual storytelling, visual identification, visual information at a glance. Street Fighter, while rich in details, gives us weird proportions to make moves easier to track, bigger hands, and of course, Jury's feetsies. It's here to communicate things to us, to make us feel things, to draw focus to important gameplay or narrative detail, to make us think of specific things, even if we do so unconsciously or subconsciously. I don't know which word is correct here. In a way, whether they left the rest of the details to our imagination is irrelevant. What matters is that they left that part of the conversation open for us to fill in with our own imagination, such as Jury's smell. Why did I say that? The point is, we can imagine a lot of the details. Is that Birdley's face as a logo on his shirt? Let's look at Suzie Deltarune and how people interpret her Dark World sprite. While there is some dynamic movement, for the most part, sprites are very still. The art interprets her in combat as dynamic and action-packed, not what I literally see when I'm engaged in Deltarune's combat. Look at how fans interpret Chapter 3's rhythm minigame. At what looks like a bunch of tiny sprites full of character is brought to even greater life. And yeah, I know I'm using a lot of Deltarune, but that's because my hard drive crashed and I lost a lot of my B-roll footage. Also, it just provides great examples because there is a very rich and very healthy community around the game. But there's more to it than just graphics, right? There's looking between the lines. There's what the story and world building doesn't tell you. But that's for later. Let's talk about audio and specifically voice acting. I love voice actors, holy shit.
Ladies, could I? Ow!
Baldur's Gate 3 would not have been the same without the next level voice acting from Astarion, Shadowheart, but from especially Karlach.
Stick close to Mama K.
Bless you, my love. But voices, accents, tones, they can all drastically change how a person and their voice and intent is interpreted. Even with subtitles, the delivery and performance can, and should, color how the listener interprets the text or script. Without a voice to guide you, all you have is the animation, the choice of words, and the voice in your head. But that is not a bad thing. No voice acting allows us to put our own voices on the characters, to imagine how they sound and how they said something. The best example I have for this is people playing Deltarune on stream, or Undertale for that matter, or anything that doesn't have voice acting really. Here are some examples.
Ah, my sweet idiot children. You are just in time to witness my world domination. With Noelle in my possession, it is only a matter of time before her will turns. She unleashes her power.
Don't drag me into this, I'm just looking at milk. You're dragging me into it, stop! Stop! Stop!
Scissors or a knife, huh? I could have used a knife to cut open the sauce packet, but I wanted everything to be perfect when you got back. I love surprising you, and it didn't even take me that long. Tee?
Because there's no canon voice, we have the ability to place voices in its stead, whether it is something inspired by a YouTuber, a streamer, or just something in our heads. It's all good. I have another point to mention here, that is, the downside of the existence of voice acting separates those characters from me. That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you're telling a story, but they're like people now. Obviously they're not, because they're constructed to inspire a specific feeling or a thought, probably lust in this case, but there's less for me to do, there's less room for me to move. That doesn't mean that more detail is bad. That doesn't mean people can't come up with other ways to read a character no matter how much detail is there. Lord knows. A creator can crap out every single detail, but cultural and personal biases can change how that character is perceived anyway. It just means, since there's more definition, there is less room for you on the canvas. As an aside, it even gives you more freedom to name things, because you can name characters whatever if there's no voice acting. There's also other aspects of audio, such as sound and music, of course, but since I lack a great background in those fields, I'll leave that discussion for somebody who actually has the training. Anyway, it's time to see where this all comes together, and that is in a story. There is a recent trend in storytelling, and by recent I mean like in the past decade or 15 years, wherein I've noticed a greater pressure on creators to explain every little detail. Very little is left to the imagination in favor of the word of God, their breath spent on every blade of grass. Sorry, I think I went on a bit of a tangent there, but the fact is that there's room for more stories to be told in an existing space if you're willing to open that door. What I mean by that is that not everybody is interested in looking between the lines, and that's great. Sometimes a story is complete in itself, but then there's the world between the lines that some people want to think about. There's always more detail to explore in many universes. You can make up headcanons, you can tell mini stories about people. Hey yo, this polycule is looking bangin'. You can have fix, although I don't have a lot of experience in amateur fanfiction. Look, fanfiction is a wide term. There's an argument to be made that expanded universes are paid fanfiction. But I digress, because the important part is that there's room for creativity, interpretation, and to tell a story that lies between the words given to us by the creators. For example, there is a post, which is a masochistic reading of Noelle Deltarune's character, which proposes that our little dear girl was written to be a repressed adolescent exploring her masochistic tendencies. Which seems to hold water, but even if that metaphor or that matter doesn't turn out to be accurate, because it is disproven by later events or revelations, it's still an interesting thing to think about. Though on that note, I don't really read fanfics. Not that that was a fanfic, but I just never really got into that. I just never found it easy to read books on a computer screen. Fan comics, though, oh wow, I got into that a lot. Call me Gaston in that. I am looking for the pictures, and by God, did the internet deliver, because there are voiced fan comics. Amazing.
What's your major? We. Same. Is that freaking Mickey Mouse? I'm gonna kill you.
Even official works not made by the original creator have this vibe. Which is why I earlier said that fanfiction is a wide term. Think of Star Wars and the many cultures around the Force that could have existed around the universe, and how the shows have presented it. Think of Magic the Gathering and their compelling flavor text. That was all we had back in the day. We didn't have the books, we just had our imagination. Aizen's shade enamored me for whatever reason. Maybe I was an edgy child. But I mean, listen to this. Aizen the weak, Aizen the fallen, Aizen the betrayer. He has brought shame to the Serra Paladins where none existed before. May his suffering equal his betrayal. Look at that. Like, it raises so many questions that I can make up answers to. Who is Barris? Who the hell is Sarah? What's an Inquisitor? I was 10. I did not know what that word meant. But I think fundamentally that is why I thought of this video. Why I thought of a video about low graphics and the room lower fidelity things makes for us. How much fun it is to just imagine, to let your mind wander and create things. They may not be unique things, they might not even be like good in an objective sense. Who cares? It's fun. And what is life without just enjoying yourself, huh? If you ain't having fun, what are you even doing? On a further note, the things you think about, the voices, the stories, the art, you don't even have to share it. Although it is nice, it doesn't even need to be anything that everyone agrees on or even likes. It just has to be something that makes sense to you or that you like within the context of the work. You can hold your ideas in your heart and it can make the work richer for you. Ultimately, the lack of fidelity in simpler graphics or audio or story is irrelevant. If you want to make a bigger world, you can make a bigger world. Dark, light, clean, dirty, expert, casual, your mind, your world. As Toby Fox recently said, the world is as big as you want it to be. Because the fact is, there is room for you. And I want you to remember that. Thanks for watching. I am Patinator. You know what to do, so I'll see you later. Epilogue. The past month has been difficult, but good in that it is a difficulty that is rough but manageable. Not rough as in there's no time for lube. So we're gonna try to get back on schedule. What schedule? Anyway, I think this video is just me ultimately just so happy to see creative work out there, and in a fandom that I have come to very much enjoy in the past few months, which is like stating the obvious and stuff, but have you seen YouTube shorts? There's a whole market to saying the obvious, apparently. Anyway, for staying so long, here is a picture of my cat as a reward. Her name is Fancy. She is one of 4, maybe 5, maybe 7 cats. I'm not really sure right now.